yourself to LeBron James.
No, I'm not doing that. It's live, so I think. Is it on? Is this thing on? Let's see if this is working. Hello, hello. It's like I'm expecting someone to comment back. Oh, thanks, Guy. It's working. Just gonna wait for some people to pop in. Where's everybody from? Where are you guys tuning in from? Where's my atypical community? Where are you guys at? Yes, sir. It's kind of awkward. I don't really know what to do. What time is it here? It's 7 p.m. Portugal, let's go. England, Romania, Seattle, Ireland. Saw me in Germany. Chile. Shout out the big Chile on my team. Probably know him. Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, he's hooping in the TBL. That's dope. That's dope. That's a growing league, honestly. Germany, France, Turkey, Orlando, Zurich. Uganda is crazy. Belgium, Bosnia, Greece. My guy Alex. Serbia. I think I already said Serbia, but big shout out Serbia, one of my favorite countries. Iran, South Africa, Austria. Dang, man, this is cool. It's always cool to see where everybody's from. Italy. Just gonna wait a little bit longer. Everybody to Tacoma. Let's go. Portugal, couple Portugal, Congo. Hey, raffle off some shorts. That might be a good idea. Finland. Oh, how do you deal with tough rival losses? That's a good question. There might be a giveaway, Guy. We'll see. California, that's dope. West Coast. Just waiting a little bit longer. Basically, the idea of this live stream is this last week I've been feeling kind of burnt out. So I didn't really film much. Just rehabbing, trying to get back on the court. Just didn't feel like in the mood. So just gonna hang out with y'all. Oh no, not Mitch Pellissier. Is that how his? I don't know if that's his name. I don't even know how to say your last name, Mitch. Have I dealt with shoulder injuries? Very much so. In Germany, actually, I dislocated my shoulder right before playoffs. Oh, my guy Gary, nonchalant Gary. How much do you get paid? That's a pretty personal question. I kind of hit on that before in one of my videos. It's not smart in terms of contract negotiations, just like air out your salary. That's kind of like a private thing, but you can kind of find out how much people pay by the league, their role on the team, stuff like that. Why number 9? That's a great question. Well, I was number 5 like my whole career. But then in Benfica, number 5 is retired. So can't rock that. My sister is she's a professional volleyball player. And she wears number 9. So I wore that in honor of her. Would I ever be interested to play in Romania for Cluj? Very much so. Cluj is an incredible club. What got me into basketball? That's a good question. Honestly, as like a kid, like it was just like a fun game to play. And I mean, for me, basketball is super, super dynamic, and it's like a creative outlet for me. It's not just. I mean, it's a game, right? But it's one of those things that very quickly. Like every game's different, every workout's different. It's like very engaging mentally. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. And like growing up, all my best friends I was a baseball player for real. Right. All my best friends were playing baseball. So I was doing that, but I didn't love baseball. It's too slow. So then I went over to basketball. Okay. Let's get into some of these questions y'all are asking a lot. I'm gonna try and get to as many as I can. Favorite hoop shoe of all time? That's a very good question. Actually, I was kind of ready for that one. I actually brought some. This is my most recent purchase, the Kobe 6 All-Star 2.0s. I think the Kobe 6 is the best Kobe. This is my GOAT shoe. I'd say I like the reverse Grinches better because I've played well in them and I won a championship in those. But that's kind of the goal for these ones, be the championship shoe. But I don't know. Like Kobe's are interesting. Like they're re-releasing a bunch. Like they re-released the 8s, and these used to be one of my favorite Kobe's too. But I swear these re-released Kobe 8s are some of the worst shoes I've ever worn. They don't break in. The insole is like not as good as the original ones. I don't know why, and I can't really tell you the difference, but it feels like not as good. And as like high quality of material. So, okay, let's do this one. That's a good question. Yo, story time about your intro and outro song. Kelly, Kelly's my moderator. So Kelly, highlight that comment. Story time about your intro and outro song. So it's that it got highs and lows. Yeah, I know. That classic one. I kind of just did that randomly, not randomly. The artist is one of my good buddies, Isaiah Brown. I played college with him at GCU. He's actually a professional basketball player too. He plays in Italy, A2. He's from Seattle, like right near where I'm from. And so I had to I had to put in his music, and it stuck. Like it's perfect. It kind of embodies everything that I try and show with the YouTube channel, the goods, the bads, all those things. And so that's a good question. I really want to give credit to my boy, IB Zay Wonder. He's probably out there. He doesn't have a game today, but yeah, that's my dog. Okay. Let's look for another one. Let's say, who do you model your game after? That's a good question. I think basketball is like it's similar to art, right? A lot of artists will take little things from various other artists. And so there's not like one player that I like necessarily like model my game after. But guys who I like really like stuff they do would be like a Jimmy Butler, super versatile, score at 3 levels, solid defender, great rebounder, does the little things, good teammate. I'd say I'm trying to think other guys. I'm just like, rarely do I just model it after one guy. So, but if I could say one, it would be Jimmy Butler, just because of his versatility and how much he does. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do on that one. Okay. Let's see. What are some things you wish you knew as a rookie now that you are a vet? First off, it's a weird feeling being called a veteran. Going into year 6. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've kind of struggled with throughout my career that I wish I would have known as a rookie, and something that I think kind of really applies to my whole career, is to not, like the song says, not to get so high and so low. with things. I think I'm an emotional person, emotional player. So a lot of times the struggles are more intense and the successes are more intense. And so as I've grown as a player in person, it's kind of not feeling those on that level, but just being more consistent and not beating myself up after a bad game and not getting super excited after a good game. Like it's all part of it. Whether it's an injury, whether it's a new opportunity. Like it's important to have emotions about those things and to feel those emotions, but not let it like kind of suffocate you a little bit and overwhelm you. I think, especially overseas, that rookie year, there's a lot of new experiences, and if you're not, I would say, robust and resilient in your mindset in navigating those ups and downs, your career is going to be short lived because a lot of times, like, I think I'm a talented basketball player, but I don't think I'm the most talented. I think I play a lot of guys that are probably more talented than me, but I think I'm still here, still playing because I'm navigate those ups and downs with elegance and grace, I would like to say. So, all right, let's look at, that was a good question. Let's see. Oh, that's a good question. Hey, Trey, do you plan on making a Discord server to allow people to talk in the community more? I think that's a great idea. And I've been going back and forth on this idea of making like a separate community, like Discord server, because I think it is important for you guys to kind of like bounce ideas off of each other, share your wins when you play good. Maybe if you're going through a tough time, you guys can talk to each other a little bit. And I've been workshopping it. I don't want to offer the generic Discord where, you see a creator just sign up for my Discord and then they end up just marketing stuff to their Discord the whole time. For me, if I'm going to make a Discord server, I want it to be authentic and I want to be as connected with you guys. I think right now the newsletter is where I talk and give the most direct advice to you guys. And I think that's a really good kind of a platform and medium to talk with you guys. I'm kind of interested in these lives. If you guys like these lives, we can do this more often. But the Discord server, I mean, if I get enough people that start kind of messaging me about that and think that could really help them, then we're for sure going to get that going. But I don't want to have too many touch points with you guys. I don't want to have YouTube channel, Instagram, Discord server, newsletter. It's like I'm trying to condense things into some. So I don't want to just be throwing stuff at you guys all the time. I want to give you high quality stuff. But a community is a good idea, and I like that. Okay, let's go. Kelly, do you know if you can slow down these comments a little bit? Let's see. Do you have a Swedish teammate in Benfica? Yes, sir. That's my guy Felix. That's my dog. He's our new teammate. My new teammate. He's a great player. I think he's super solid. Shoot it, drive it. I think he was a great pickup and a cool dude. So, damn, it's moving fast. Okay, this is a good one. How do I know how to organize my workouts during the week? Basketball workouts, skills, shooting, ball handling. How many times a week do I need to do that? This, whatever. That question in itself, to me, is flawed a little bit because you're already calculating your development off of time spent or number of workouts you do. I think it's more you set a plan and stick to it consistently for 1 week. Let's say you can do whatever. You don't even have to, let's say you do 6 basketball workouts, 4 of them are skill, and 2 of them are playing live, right? Do that for a week. See how you feel and assess maybe my handle feels weak. Okay, then introduce new ball handling. You have to think of your development and your workout program as being for yourself. So you have to be constantly self-evaluating. Maybe you're not making shots and you feel off balance shooting off the move. Then introduce those movement shooting workouts um, and prioritize those different things. So there is an importance in having a schedule and a routine for these things, especially so you mitigate overtraining or undertraining. But you have to go off your feel and you have to build your tolerance into being able to work out more. If you go from working out 0 to doing 6 workouts in a week, you're going to be cooked. Like mentally, you're going to get burnt out, and physically, knock on wood, but maybe an injury comes up. So in terms of programming, it's all tailor it to yourself. So I can't give you that much advice. I could give you like a generic go to the court, like make sure you get 4 court workouts in and 3 weight room and like this. But I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but workout program should be tailored to your own development. So there's not like a generic one for you to do. It's different though with weight room. I think you need to build like your baseline of strength and stability. You need to have a workout program. I'm not the one to provide you a workout program for the weight room. I do a lot of it for myself, but I also have a strength coach here in Benfica who's the best. I think he's super high level. But in the summers, I will build most of my weight room program. But again, I base it off my own body and my field. So, okay. Okay, I like this one. I find your motivation tips really helpful as a university student. What are your main tips on finding motivation when not wanting to do something you have to do? So motivation to me is a feeling, right? You're feeling motivated and feelings come and go. So in the same way you're asking to, find motivation, it's like finding happiness. Like you don't have a lot of control over that, but you can control the actions that lead to motivation and the actions that you believe lead to happiness, right? So when it comes to motivation, you have to set up your systems and routine to encourage motivation. Things like, okay, let's say you have a big project you have to work on. Let's say you're a university student, you have a big, let's say English paper or something, and you don't want to do it. It's not going to change that you don't want to do it, but the motivation to do it is like put yourself in an environment where you have the best chance of doing it, right? And then if you do all that, then make the commitment you make to yourself to do the thing, just go do it. For me, a lot of times it's just the decision to do it. And when I talk about the last 2 weeks, how I've been kind of off, I've been feeling myself going back and forth with these commitments I make to myself. I'm gonna wake up and like this happens to me all the time. I'll be like, I'm gonna wake up an hour early or an extra hour earlier this morning, get a little work done, do my morning gratitudes, my intention setting, and then I'm in that bed. And when the alarm goes off, I have this dialogue with myself. Okay, nah, you could sleep. Nah, you could this. You just rest your eyes a little longer. And when I'm the most motivated is when that thought is shorter and the decision is faster, right? It's no, you do it. I said this, do it. And then every time I do it, then the motivation is easier to get. But these last 2 weeks, that voice in my head, I would say, has been winning a little bit and it's been harder. And it's like a muscle, like anything, like motivation, I'd say is kind of like a muscle. You got to train it. You got to kind of work on it. And so, yeah, as humans, as humans and as athletes, you're going to do a lot of stuff you don't want to do. It's part of life, and you can't expect motivation to get you out of that. You just got to do it, But I like that question. That's a really good question. That was Nick F's. Okay. Getting a couple questions on how your time was in Partizan. Very short time. I I really only played 2 games, 1.5 for real. I was signed for 3 years, and when I signed, they loaned me out back to the club I was at in Belgrade. Lados Zemun is a small club. Played there, played really well, and then they called me up at the end of the season. It was actually a crazy story because my team had just won the regular season Serbian Domestic League Championship. I had a great year. I was like the MVP. And then we got matched up with Partizan in the first round of the playoffs because the 5 teams in the Adriatic League that are Serbian come back and they are basically seeded 1 through 5. We were first, so then we're sixth. Sixth versus third. Partizan was third. I was sixth, and they basically recalled me from the loan, so I couldn't play against them. And then I played against my old team, and it was at the backside of COVID, so we weren't at Stark Arena, or I think they play in a different arena now. We weren't there. We were in a really small gym. It was only half capacity, so I didn't even get the full experience of the Partizan fans. So I can't say like my time in Partizan. I didn't have like the real experience. Then I went and I did training camp with Partizan that next August. Was there for like 2-3 weeks. It was a lot. It was like a huge jump in level. I had just came off in that second game with Partizan. I actually broke my hand right here. Had to get like full hand reconstructive surgery. So I actually have like 2 metal plates in my hand with a bunch of screws. And so when I came back for training camp, I hadn't shot a basketball in like 6 weeks. So the first week of training camp was rough, if I'm being honest. I was like, couldn't make a shot. But I settled in the second week. I played solid, I would say. But they decided to loan me out. And honestly, it made sense. They had just signed Kevin Punter for like 1.5 million. And overseas basketball, normally the more a club pays someone, the more expectation that player has to have a big role. So there was no way with the salary I was making that I was going to get any minutes there. And Obradovic let me know that. He was kind of like, you could stay, but you're not going to play a lot. So then I got loaned out to Poland. But Partizan in Serbia and Belgrade, it definitely has me and my wife's heart. That was like our first experience in Europe. And it was a great first city to go to. The people there were super welcoming. At that time, I had like a shaved head, basically, and I got mistaken for Serbian all the time. And for some reason on Flash Score, they changed my nationality to Serbian. So now everyone's always asking if I'm Serbian, and no, it's Trey Drechsel, not Drexelic. So, but I love Serbia. Let's do another one. Let's go. There's a lot of comments. I like this. I like how much you guys are interacting. Last time I'm going to hit on this one, but this Astor XZ, hey Trey, just want to know, as a young hooper, how much did you train when you were a teenager? Again, we can't fall into the trap of equating how much we train with how good we will become. It's about training smarter and not always harder. But as a younger player, when you got a lot of energy, your body's fresh. Again, I'm still 28, so I'm pretty young too. But you want to work out a lot. You want to train a lot. You need to build that foundation. So, I mean, I was training a ridiculous amount, but I can't give you like, oh, I was in the gym 8 hours a day and doing this, and this. That's not necessarily the right way we want to ask that question. And asking that question that way is not going to be your path to getting better as a basketball player. I think the best way to get better is find people that you can be in the same room with, whether that's friends, coaches, whatever, that have the same level of motivation as you, because that's going to help you train more. And then you can be like, oh, I saw this YouTube video about this. Let's try this workout. Oh, we need to set up a weight room program. Will you keep me accountable? Because I was blessed. Like, I had my best friends in high school were basketball addicts like me. And I still remember I didn't even have a car, so I couldn't get to or I didn't have a car, so I couldn't drive to school. And they had an open gym before like my school day at my high school. It was at 6 a.m. School started at like 8:15, and neither of our parents could drive us to the open gym. And I mean, my parents always were willing to, but for some reason they couldn't. I'm very blessed to have incredible parents, but we tried to bike. It was legit. I want to say like a 10-mile bike ride in the freezing cold of the morning. We tried to bike to open gym. That's how bad we wanted to play basketball. And I think we got like halfway there and we looked at each other. Me and my buddy, we were like 14, 15 years old. And we're like, dude, this is too much. So that gives you kind of reference point. I was trying to get in the gym as much as I could with as many different people, with as many high-level guys as I could. That brought back a really good memory. But okay. Why did you not go to the NBA? From Jace. Well, Jace, I was not good enough. Simple as that. I started in college as a walk-on at Division II. You don't really. It's pretty hard to go to the NBA from being a walk-on from Division II. I earned a scholarship the next year and was all conference as a junior. Then I transferred up to Division One. I just didn't have a good enough year to get any sort of looks. I'm about 6'5" with not a very extended wingspans, and so in terms of like NBA prospects, I'm not an NBA prospect. I mean, that was my dream as a kid, but you also have to be realistic. And I think it's powerful to have big dreams and say, oh, I want to go to the NBA, but you also have to find a way to make the most out of your situation. And I feel like I've done that. Have I had G League opportunities? Have I had summer league stuff? Yes. But I mean, a lot of times, like, things have to work out perfectly to reach that level. So, yeah, that's a good question. But, people I think mistakenly act like the NBA is a very attainable thing for people that they see are good. There's only 450 NBA players. You have to be the best in the entire world. I think there's some, EuroLeague players that are good enough to play in the NBA, and so maybe that number is a little skewed by, 20, 30. But it's a lot of politics. You gotta, you have to be a big prospect, and I wasn't a big prospect. That's just kind of what it is. So, let's see. As a pro hooper, I'm 24 and considering playing overseas. This is Misfit Pierre. I'm thinking about going to a 6-week camp in Europe. What are your thoughts on that, and what are the do's and don'ts? So I get a lot of messages about these overseas exposure camps and stuff like this. I'd say 98% of them are a money grab. It is very difficult to go that route. People have this misconception that overseas is an easy thing to do, and that if you're good enough, you can do it. But there's also a lot of politics in this. You have to kind of be in the right rooms and conversations and have a college career that looks a certain way to be considered. But I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, but I just caution you, make sure you do your research on where players who have attended that camp in the past have been placed, because, it can be, there's a lot of people that try and make money off people's dreams, so I would be very hesitant. But if you believe in it, then do's and don'ts are you got to go there and be the best player. Like, it has to be no questions asked. You're not there to make friends. You want to be like, you want to be cool so your teammates pass you the ball, but you're there to make a visible impact and show you don't belong at the camp. That's what you have to do if you go to camp. You want to show you shouldn't be at the camp. You should be on a team. And then from there, a lot of times, some of the ways that those exposure camps will work is there'll be some agents there, and maybe you can sign to an agent, and then he can vouch for you with teams. That'd probably be the route. But again, you're 24. That's still pretty young, but also the difficult part in Europe is you're too old to be considered a prospect, I would say. They treat prospects as like 18, 19, 20. I mean, I was coming out of college at 22. I was treated like a prospect for like 1 to 2 years. And then it's like, okay, how can you help me right now? And a lot of times, the proof of how you can help a team right now is your resume. What was your college resume? What'd you do in, if you signed to a pro team? Another route you could do like the TBL in the States. I've seen a couple guys go from there overseas, so could be a route. Yeah, man, if you want it, keep pushing. But I just say be very careful, because people always don't want what's best for you. You want your dreams, but they want to make money off your dreams, so you got to be careful. Okay, let's get another one going. Let's see. I like this one. As a pro hooper and pro content creator, do you have any creators within the basketball space you enjoy watching? Hope all is good, bro. From my guy GZ Hoops. First off, shout out to you, GZ. You're always supporting the channel, bro, and it means a lot. You always comment good questions and insightful stuff that I know help other people in this community. Other creators I like. I mean, I love Elijah Bryant. He's he's a EuroLeague guy, overseas guy, making cool content. He's got a lot of super valuable insight in terms of nutrition, rehab and preventative exercises. And also, he just shows you what it takes to be at the top of the overseas game. Like, he's a high level dude. And I think you can learn from guys like that. And he does a good job kind of explaining things that are usable for even young hoopers or anyone on their hoop journey. And very insightful and aware guy. So I like him. I like Chima Moneke. He's got really cool EuroLeague content. His is more kind of like getting to know all the other pro overseas players, especially EuroLeague guys, a lot of the big names in the EuroLeague space, in the Europe space. And he just gets a lot of cool guests on his channel and super cool cinematic vlogs. High level dude, always brings energy, and it's entertaining to watch. In terms of like US basketball content stuff, I watched all the Next Chapter. I like this different style of basketball, the 1v1. It's really interesting how it's kind of growing and becoming almost like another route for people to make a living off of basketball. I think that's super disruptive in terms of how the business of basketball is right now. They got some good talent on there. I'm just hoping that they come out to Seattle or Tacoma area, because I've got a gym. I've got guys that would want to play. And I would love this summer to host like a Next Chapter type event in Washington. But I'm going to need all you guys to reach out to Scotty Next Chapter, kind of blow up his DMs. I really want to make that happen. That's what me and my teammate Ahmad have been thinking about. But it's tough because I'm over here throughout the year, so I can't be in that scene. And still, the priority for me is my professional basketball career and how that's going. So, got to be healthy and stuff. But I love the next chapter and what they're doing. Devontae Frege is one of the reasons I started making basketball vlogs and stuff like that. So a lot of good creators. I'm thinking in terms of small creators, I like Trace Young. He's a hooper at LSU. Super cinematic style vlogs. And for me, that's what I want my vlogs to start transitioning to. And so it's cool to watch his content. It's super high quality. He's just a good high level creative. So that's someone you guys should tap in with. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, what are some teams from Europe that you wish you would play for in the future, place-wise and level-wise? Love from Canary Islands. So I mean, for me, like, I want to elevate in this overseas basketball landscape, play at higher levels, bigger leagues, bigger arenas. I'll first go like countries I'd really want to play in. Spain in the ACB. It's like a dream. It's like in Spanish basketball culture is like Portuguese football culture. Like they love basketball in Spain and super high level. All the top pros in Europe play there. It's probably, I'd say, the best league in Europe, domestic. It's difficult to play in Spain as an American because they have different import rules. They only have 2 American spots, so it's a lot more competitive for it. But it's like it's amazing. Like Spanish lifestyle is, I would say, comparable to Portugal, and I really like the Portuguese culture. It's super welcoming, warm, fun. Spain would be cool. Turkey would be incredible. They pay well. The league is super high level. Some would argue it's maybe probably second best in Europe, domestic league. But if I were to go there, I'd really want to go, or both places, I want to go to a team that's playing an international competition as well, so that I could get some more experience playing 2 games a week, playing in these different countries, seeing different cultures, traveling more. Turkey would be sweet though. The fans are incredible in Turkey as well. Looking at teams like Galatasaray, Besiktas, Darüşşafaka, stuff like that. That'd be super cool. And then I'm also like Greece. I really like Greece just because they got really good fans. Cool culture. I've been there multiple times. I really liked Thessaloniki. I'd be interested in going to Athens maybe. Any of those teams that play international competition in Greece, that league's pretty solid. But one of the issues with Greece is they have, I think, the second highest FIBA bat cases, which is like those are cases where a club doesn't pay a player the full amount of money, and then they have to kind of like go to like FIBA court with them. Greece and Turkey have the most. So, the benefit of going there and the cool parts, there's always give and take. So yeah, Greece would be cool as well. Italy would be incredible. Good food, cool culture, high level basketball. Yeah. Good question. Let's see. Oh, do you make time to experience festivals and cultural gatherings in Lisbon? If so, what has been your favorite Portuguese cultural experience so far? So in terms of festivals and cultural gatherings, I haven't been to a lot, I would say, but one of my good buddies, he's in the chat too right now, Guy, Portuguese guy, and his family has me and my wife over for dinner all the time, and I've like visited his cabin in like the countryside of Portugal, and I've had like the full Portuguese family experience. They're really like my Portuguese family, and that's been super cool. It's just always interesting to see like family that's very similar to mine, but just in a different place in the world. And tried a lot of different Portuguese food with him. You know, I wish I could give you all these names, but I probably don't want to just start butchering names and getting them wrong and accidentally disrespecting the culture. So, okay, there you go. Bacalhau com natas. That was decent. It was solid. Kind of liked. I do like a lot of the seafood that Portugal has. It's pretty good. Let's see. How often do you eat as a pro basketball player bad food like sweets, chocolate, and those things? I'm having problems to moderate it. That's a good question. Well, if you watched my last video, hey, what I eat in a day in life as a pro basketball player, that kind of gives like my broad nutrition and hydration kind of like guidelines I give for myself. Do I eat junk food every once in a while? For sure. Do I have moments and like, let's say if sometimes I'll have 6 days super disciplined and then one day I'll just like go terrible, right? But the idea is to, like you said, moderate it. So, and I think that's how you should really you should probably apply that mindset to really everything. Like you want to enjoy things in life and some of the bad, unhealthy things in life, but do it in moderation. Don't let it have that control over you. And if it does, then maybe you need to cut it out completely. It's all about kind of having dominion over your things and control over kind of your vices. Okay. Let's see. What is your experience? What is your experience with private trainers? I'm assuming you're talking about basketball private trainers. For me, anyone that you go to improve with needs to have your best interest in mind. And I'm all for paying people for their work, right? But you need to be careful that those people know what they're talking about. It has to be people that you trust or that someone else vouched for, or that you've seen them take a player that isn't very good and make them a good player. Obviously, it's not directly their responsibility, but do they have a proven track record of providing value and growth to players? That's a private trainer you want to be in the gym with. If they've gotten this player to this level, those are the people you want to be around. I have my trainers back home. My guy JR, he's with my agency, super good guy. I think he's super high level. Whenever you work with a private trainer, make sure you're asking questions. When they put you through a drill, be like, oh, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? But come at it with a respectful tone, not like you're just questioning everything they do. But you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta make sure that they know what they're talking about. And the only way you'll know is if you ask questions. And so if you're going to do a workout with a private trainer, make sure you're asking questions and make sure that you know what you're paying money towards, right? If you had to be a Pokemon, which one would you be and why? That's actually a fire question. Probably my favorite Pokemon of all time. Probably Typhlosion. Any of my nerds are in the chat. Typhlosion. I don't know why I'd be him. It's like a fire ferret, a big ass fire ferret, but he's cool. So I'd say Typhlosion. All right, a good question. I low-key want to go grab my favorite Pokemon card, but I'm not gonna do that. Let's see. How do contracts work in the league you play in? Is it like the NBA where you can ask to be traded, or can they trade you like what happened with Luka, or is it up to you when your contract expires? It's a very good question. So the norm in overseas basketball is to sign like a 1 to 2 year contract, and each contract is structured a little differently, but teams cannot trade you. They would have to cut you, and another team would have to pick you up. There's no trades like that in Europe. There's all these thoughts that go into, like in the summer when you're looking at different offers and opportunities and contracts, you have to kind of navigate these things. Okay, do I want to sign 2 years to have more security? But if you play better that first year, maybe you could earn a lot more money or play in a better league, but you're stuck to this second year. So you have to navigate these things when you think about contracts. But for the most part, in Europe, especially at middle tier teams, you're signing 1 year or 2 year deals. Whereas in the EuroLeague, sometimes they'll sign like their star player to 3 or 4 years. Talking like a Shane Larkin in Ephes, like a Mike James in Monaco, stuff like this. They'll keep their players and they'll give them that security. And that's really what a lot of overseas players are looking for, is to sign one of those contracts where they get security, because there's a lot of like difficult things when it comes to that. Because if you're trying to get, let's say, any sort of loan in the States for, let's say, a mortgage for a house, you have to prove your income to qualify for certain loans, for all these things. And if your contract is only 1 year, they're looking at it like, oh, how do we know any more money is going to come in? So a lot of times it can be difficult to get loans unless you have a track record of, year after year, you're making a certain amount of money. Because the reality of professional basketball, it's especially overseas, is very fragile. Like the amount of guys I know that were playing 1 year and then retired the next year after an injury or some unpredictable thing it's way too many. There's no player security. It's really a fragile thing, and I'd like to say as you go up in levels, the professionalism of the clubs get better, but even some of the top clubs in Europe are not always professional. Maybe you get injured and they try and cut you and cancel the contract and do all these things. It's like it's a tough thing to navigate, but it's part of it, That's a good question. Okay, let's do from Kenton Major. How did you get your first contract offer? Did you have an agent who helped you? If so, how do you get in contact with an agent? I get this question a lot. A lot of guys that are trying to go overseas ask me this stuff. So the first contract, I'm not going to lie, is the hardest, because it's going off of a relationship or, college film. But what I did is, out of college, I had some agents that were kind of recruiting me. They're reaching out to me via email, Facebook sometimes. I mean, those are kind of a little sketchy. I'd be really careful. But I ended up choosing a local agent who I'm still with, Alvin Snow. I was referred to him, a friend of a friend, and then I sent him my film, and then he was basically like, "Oh, I can work with you, and I can get you a job." So there is like this baseline sort of resume that you have to kind of like get in some of these conversations. But then so he kind of does the work contacting the clubs for me. I did go to an exposure camp in Vegas at the same time as the summer league. So there were a lot of international scouts there, and this was one of the most valid and proven camps. I'm not sure it's going on anymore, but it was like the Worldwide Invitational. You had to get drafted to play in the camp. And I played really well in that camp. I had like a triple double or close to a triple double one game, and there was a lot of scouts there. And from there, then my agent was like, "Oh, okay, we have 3 to 4 teams that are offering you contracts." So that's kind of how it works. In terms of contacting agents, you can go. I think there's like a website like that are FIBA certified agents. That's what you want. You don't want an agent that's not FIBA certified. He can't get you anything. So you find a FIBA certified agent, and if they're not reaching out to you, you got to reach out to them, and you got to kind of market yourself. But a lot of times, the market will show you what's realistic. So if you're reaching out to every single agent and you're getting a pretty consistent, like, I don't know, man, then it's like you can keep working and working and working, but you don't want to pound your head against the wall. Maybe you have to go a different route. Maybe you got to go TBL and try and get some film there. But they're not going to respect film from LA Fitness. They're not going to respect unorganized film. They're like, it's the tough part. That's kind of the barrier to entry the overseas basketball market, is you have to have some film and some stuff. So yeah, that's kind of that one. Let's see. Um, let's see. From Jake Hoops 24/7, are you going to have to work a different job once basketball is finished? Uh, well, one, I'd want to keep working. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to retire after basketball and not do anything. I think when I retire from basketball, it'll be like the second start of my life. That's kind of one of the reasons why I do like a lot of stuff with Atypical and building this brand, is because I hope this can grow to the size that afterwards I can transition this into more of a job business thing where I'm helping young athletes. And, some of it's basketball training, some of it's overseas basketball consulting, maybe it's being an agent. Like, I don't know these things. Like, that's kind of that next mountain to climb. But I think for me, this is kind of a good start, building this community, getting like-minded people here, learning how to share my story, document my story, inspiring other people. And like just the other week, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I actually I had like a classroom in Lisbon. I went as like a guest speaker and was kind of talking about like international sports organizations, how they're run, differences in cultures and stuff like that. And it was weird being in the academic circle again. It was like I was back in college, but I enjoyed it. So like, it's something I think about a lot, about what I'm going to do after basketball, because I know eventually my body gives out, or something happens, right? And I'm not going to be naive and say I'm going to hoop till forever, but I plan to hoop as long as I can. But at the same time, living this far from my home and having my wife have to live, she doesn't have to. I mean, kind of, she wants to. Anyways, but having to kind of uproot our family year after year, it takes a toll, and so eventually there'll come a point where maybe I don't see the value, like maybe it's not worth doing that, and maybe it's better to stay home and start my career there, whatever that second mountain is. So good question, Jake Hoops 24/7. Let's see. Let's see. At what age did you say to yourself, I will be a pro basketball player? At what age did you understand it? Ale Marchison. That's it. I mean, there's always that story like, yo, I'm like, this is when I knew I was going to be this, but that's not really the reality. A lot of times you don't have that experience and you kind of just continue navigating the next thing in front of you, and your path goes a direction you have no idea, and you kind of look up and you're like, oh wow, this is a cool thing that's happening. Um, but I've always had an ambition with basketball. When I was in high school, I was like, I want to play Division One. When I was in college, when I was in my D2, I was like, I want to play Division One. After that season at Division One, I was pretty burnt on basketball, and I was like, I don't really want to be a pro basketball player. Like basketball and me had a weird relationship. I was like, I just want to go do something else. So I almost started a career doing something else, and but then I made the decision to do it. And again, I had the resume, so I did it. But I didn't have like I want to be a pro basketball player. But I did always have the actions of what I imagined a pro basketball player would do, right? So whether you know that's going to be what you are or not, you need to act like how you would imagine someone who is a pro basketball player would act. I think that's the first step. And eventually those actions materialize into more of a of a real thing, And next thing you know, you're 6 years later, you're a 6-year professional basketball player, and you're talking to a cool community on YouTube Live. So it's funny how life can go when you make correct decisions and stay disciplined, and everything you believe in, you stick to it. So let's see. Oh, Jordan Samuelson, how do you deal with a coach you don't get along with? This is a perfect question because in 34 minutes, I'm sending an email newsletter, and this is literally the topic of the newsletter. It's going to be called How to Be Coached. And I run down my 4 principles of how I believe, 4 principles that I've learned and kind of perfected over kind of my time as playing basketball, 20 years having playing organized basketball, professional coaches, high school, college, all different types of coaches, all different levels, personalities, everything, experience. And I kind of break it down. And rather than breaking it down now, I'll let you subscribe to the newsletter and you'll get that. And I think it'll be super usable and actionable. I think it's basically, I'll give you the first one. It was to lead with respect. And I think you only get to the point where a coach doesn't get along with you if you have a lot of moments where you show disrespect, because you can disagree with someone and still get along with them. But the way it becomes them not getting along with you or not liking you, usually it comes with you had some moments of disrespect, whether that's how you were actually acting or that's how it was perceived. So you have to be hyper focused on that. I'm sounding like a little bit of a kiss ass, like respect your coach. Oh my God, coach, I love you. No, but it's just little things like eye contact. It's shaking their hand every time you walk in the room. Like it's when you have family members, introducing them, stuff like that. And then the second one on that, lead with respect, is you need to assume your coach is doing his best. I think when you start with that assumption, a lot of things that maybe you get really mad about, you can look at them from a different perspective, right? Because he's trying his best. He's a human. Like, um, he doesn't actually like have it out for you. He's just a human, has his own emotions, and so you have to kind of play this psychologically, those games. Like, what makes him mad? What does he like? And and it sucks, but in order for you to get to where you want and get to the levels you want and the performances you want to have, your coach has to play you. So your coach has to like you. And if he doesn't like you, you have to be so good that he has to play you. And if you're a professional, then he will start liking you. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I'll do 3 more questions. And then I'll probably call it a night. I like this one. Lorenz asked, how do you handle your own selfishness for achieving your goals, playing by yourself and playing for the team, extra passes, etc.? So this is a common thing people have to navigate. If you need to make the correct play every single time. Sometimes the correct play is being selfish. And what do I mean by that? If you have a guy in the corner, you catch it on the wing, you have a guy in the corner and he's open, he's wide open, he's not a shooter, and you're a knockdown shooter, and you have a guy kind of on you, you need to shoot it. So your goals will transpire and your performances will transpire if you start with trying to make the right play. But knowing that the right play sometimes is selfish. Like sometimes the right play, just screw it, go get a bucket. But if it's clear your intention is to play the right way, your teammates will want to play with you. And that will in turn get you a lot of easier opportunities. So selfishness is an important character trait of high producing basketball players. But it's intentional selfishness that applies to the situation. So that's how I'd answer that one. Cool. Let's do. Hi, this is Amilcar Morera. Hey, Trey, I'm moving to Luxembourg, and what's your advice to someone who's going to play with a different team, and how do I adapt to it, playing in a different style, and how do I stand out? Big fan. 2 basketball emojis and a heart. One, moving different countries is always difficult. You got to expect that, and if you don't have a bunch of friends and good relationships in the first 2 weeks, just know it's a struggle, and expect that struggle and not be scared by it, and embrace the discomfort, embrace being awkward and maybe not fitting in a little bit. But in terms of standing out, again, I'd say make the right play as much as you can. Do the little things and just make it obvious there's a difference. When you're on the court, people should know you're on the court, and there should be an impact. And that's the easiest way to stand out and get noticed. And that doesn't mean score the ball. That doesn't mean, that doesn't mean all those things. It could be diving on the floor. It could be cheering from the bench. Whatever it is, you have to stand out and do it. Whatever you're good at, do it at the highest level you can and stick to that. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, let's go. How you? No. Oh, Dan the Alp Man. What is your favorite way to pass the time while traveling? So I'd say in years past, I was a big reader. Kind of been going away from it. Not reading as much. I wish I would read more. Probably when you're making social media content, sometimes you get wrapped up in the social media. But on the road, I work on this stuff like a lot. Like on the bus rides, I'll pull out my laptop and I'll start working on different video ideas, different ways to tell the story. I have like a whole team now behind the atypical different communities or different channels we're doing. So I'm always talking with them. I vlog, so I'm always looking for different camera angles and stuff like that. Listen to a lot of podcasts. For me, my passion outside of basketball is entrepreneurism. I write a lot, but also sometimes on those road trips, you just need to just binge a Netflix show. Like I'm watching The Penguin on HBO. HBO Max, and it's like probably one of the top shows I've seen. It's only in one season, but I'm also like a superhero, Marvel, DC. I like all of it, and so if you're looking for a Netflix show or TV show to watch, I'd say The Penguin. Okay, we'll do one more. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we'll do two more. From Blake Campbell, he said favorite pregame song. I'm a sicko. Like on the bus when we're like, I don't listen to music on the bus, going to games in the locker room, none of that. Like I am a overthinker, and the way I get in the zone is I let my mind go crazy for the bus ride. Like I'm overthinking every little thing, and if I give myself that 10 to 15 minutes of just going nuts in my mind, it all of a sudden like quiets. And then I just like sitting there and observing while I'm watching all my teammates listen to their music. Um, I don't listen to music before the game. And I always think like I'm lame for it, but that's just kind of what I do. Because if I listen to music before the game, like a lot of times people are like, oh, let's listen to like some hype music, pump up music, and it's like that gets me too amped. I'm already like a naturally intense competitor, almost to the point that sometimes it affects my play in a negative way. So I like to stay away from pregame music. If I do listen to pregame, if I were, it would be like slower, like indie rock, um, stuff like that. So okay, last one. Let's see. Um, this will be my last one. It's been asked a lot. It's from Mattia. I think it's probably Serbian. Hey Trey, what advice do you have for young hoopers, and how do I get more confident? Play really good in practice, but when it comes to big games, I don't perform really well. How can I fix that? So to kind of end this live, my advice to young hoopers, it kind of goes with this question. This question, obviously, you care a lot about basketball. You want to play well. Sometimes it seems like this question is framed in a way you're maybe taking basketball too serious. Like you're already overthinking basketball from this question. So maybe you just need to have fun and remember that you're lucky to be playing basketball, and you only get to play basketball so long because you might, grow up and be 35 and be thinking back like, man, I wish I just would have had fun. Like you're probably thinking, oh my God, I just want to play basketball again. And so I would stop worrying about that practice isn't translate to the games. And I would just try and have fun in practice. And then when you go to the games, try and have fun, like try and do what you did in practice, and know that what's the worst thing that can happen if you try what you did in practice. The coach takes you out. Okay. What's going to happen? You're going to go home. You're going to get your dinner after the game, wake up the next morning, and you're going to be blessed to be alive. Oh my God, you're alive again. You get another day to go practice, to go get better. So yeah, I think I wish I could give you a better do this and your practice will translate to the games. But it's basketball is more of an art form than that it's not like a science. It's not science. It's not A plus B equals C. Sometimes it's, the answers are not always the same for everybody. And I would say keep trying to find your own solution, and eventually you will. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. If this is the Atypical community, it's the Atypical family. I'm just thankful that you guys were here. I want to support the channel. I have the Atypical merch linked. This is the gray shirt. It's a little wrinkly. I left it like folded up. We have shirts, some shorts. Most of the orders should already be shipped and delivered. If you haven't, then send me an email at liveatypicalcs@gmail.com, customer service. And then in 20 minutes, you're getting a newsletter send. If you're subscribed to the newsletter, you'll get a newsletter send that talks about how to be coached, how to handle a situation with your coach better. And I think you'll learn a lot from that. And again, sorry, no YouTube video this week. We'll get back to our Sunday YouTube send next week. So I'm going to do my typical sign off. As always, did I forget it? As always, get uncomfortable and live atypical. Cheers.